All right. Good evening, everyone. It is time for another live stream. It is what? October? No, November. Oh my God, I'm thinking it's October. November 14th, 2023, and it is 8 o'clock, so it's time for the live stream. Cyrilla's already here. Let me turn on my video right here. As you can see, I've got a new graphic on the top, right? Hello. Oh, my it still has it on these two. Okay. Yeah, my whatchamacallit, my board is up there right now. Yeah, I designed this today. It's my little opening screen, my overlay for that. Hi, Cyrilla. Let's get a little bit. Okay. I also have one for the ending of the show as well. I'm going to be using something like this at the end. So, that'll pop up in the outro. This will be in the beginning. It's not animations yet, but it's something, right? It gets puts a little branding in there. All right. So anyway, couple of things on the table today. I might be finishing up my whatchamacallit right here, my Plague Doctor, which has been outstanding. And then I also have another piece I'm going to be doing. I was at a horror show over the weekend, and I decided maybe I would do an 8-bit Jason Voorhees. If you don't know the 8-bit one, it's the purple and blue version. I'm not wearing the, what can you call it, the t-shirt I had over the weekend, but it's this guy here. This is from Jack Designs, who I know from doing horror shows as well. But anyway, yeah, those are the colors. If you've played the NES version. Whoops. Cyrilla, what are we doing here? I think you almost knocked us out. Are we okay? We're back. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, I'm probably going to work on Jason first, come back into the into Plague Doctor, and then, we'll work it like that. And of course, I'll be taking questions and answering things throughout as soon as Cyrilla's done, But while I'm at it, and while, I was bringing up those outro graphics, don't forget to check out the Kirkland Horror, right? Well, I should use stuff like this occasionally throughout the live stream. It changes up the visuals. Anyway. Hey, Cyrilla, what are we doing? Are we gonna let me draw? Or are we gonna keep going with this? Actually, there will be some Chadiana. Oh my God, I can't believe I stumbled on it. Usually it's other people that do. There will be some Chadiana news coming pretty soon. In fact, I am working on a Chadiana piece right now, but I can't show it because it's for another publication, and I don't even think they're ready to display anything yet, and I got to give them first dibs on it. But anyway, yeah. All right, lady, let me move. Let me get something done. Always a good time at the beginning of the stream, right, Cyrilla? Oh, beauty. Yes. Okay. Right. Almost ready to let me work. Ooh. I only got 2 hours to do this, lady. But at least we're back at the regular time again, too. Well, yes. I'm going to have to just pull up a picture of Jason Voorhees while we're at it, since we got the time, since Cyrilla is messing with it. Hey, lady. Oh, my God. Always good. Love the slap of the tail to the face. All right. Almost done here with your scratching and such. Maybe, maybe not. Ooh. Fatty. Sounded like you broke something. All right. Oh. It's so weird that I a feature, as it were, of my live stream is to see the cat smack me in the face 100 times with her tail and cause chaos on the drafting table would be done. Don't start drinking the paint water, lady. Come on. No. 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 Don't drink the paint water. Don't drink the paint water. Jason. Oh, there we go. All right. Good. Nice reference we got over here. Almost done, lady. Last couple of times, not while I was doing this, but while I was just working here, she would lay right across the bottom here. And it would work out good because she'd be up against me. So she would feel pretty good about that. And I would get to work without this going on. All right, lady, you're really where my right arm is. What? I don't know what's going on. Let me just clear out my messages there. Okay, lady, come here. All right. It's not your live stream, but we should name it Cyrilla's live stream so that, you know, everyone just knows what to expect when they come in. That's not going to be me drawing. It's going to be you. It's going to be you and your shenanigans. Chewing on my pencil, I think. All right. Well, oh, right. I had my first Monster Mania this past weekend, which was nice. Got to see some old friends and some new ones. And yeah, I got to go out with some friends too, which was nice. Some that I never go out with. So yeah, it was a good time, and it was nice being around the horror crowd. As I keep telling people, and this is nothing against my comic friends and comic fans, but I just gotta, I don't know. There's always like a warmer response at the horror shows in general. So yeah, it was good. Monster Mania in Pennsylvania. It wasn't the Cherry Hill one, which is in my home state of New Jersey, and I would like to get into it. But we have not gotten there yet. Anyway, but speaking of events, I still have 4 more left this year. Next one is Vampires of New Jersey Con. But as I have said before, live stream, I do keep an up-to-date list on my website. And if for some reason anybody wants to plan out their con trips around where I'm going to be, which I doubt, it's always possible though. That link that just came up, jmdesantis.com/events. That one has an updated list. Well, an almost updated list. I haven't added. It looks like I'm going to be doing Monster Expo halfway to Halloween, and that's in April. And I put my deposit down for Garden State Comic Fest in Morristown, which is in June. Oddly enough, March, July, and what is that? March, July, and May, the one in between. Those 3 months are not very booked yet. In fact, I think March only has 1, which is confirmed now. I am doing PoochieCon and T-Neck. I mean, that one is, if I thought Contropolis, New Jersey was closed. Cuchicon is like the next town over, so there's no reason that I can't do it. Also, I'll give a shout out too if anybody wants to go down to the Spider's Web. In Yonkers, New York. I will be there tomorrow, probably around 3 o'clock until, I don't know, possibly close, possibly later. Possibly 5 o'clock, possibly close, because apparently the store is closing again under the new owners, and that's very disappointing. But actually, I don't even know if it's a surprise I'm saying this on a live stream, but a bunch of us are going down to meet tomorrow. So, it's not a convention or anything. It's not even an official event. But if you wanted to come by and say hi, I will be there. And you can also check out some of the closing deals and stuff I'm sure they have down there. So, still, I can't get this to be like a really good situated thing. What do we got? James, I was thinking of you today because I was thinking about working on my con lines. Did I work on them? No, but we're getting closer. I hate to say it that way. Well, you know what it is? I really have been, I just had a discussion with somebody about this today. I've been, well, as everybody knows, they think my convention schedule has been insane, and it has been. I can admit that a little bit. But this past weekend, Monster Mania, thinking is a good start. Well, I would like to say better than a start. I really do feel that a couple hours and I'll have Chadiana Ghouls and Golems finished, and I can get that next issue out. But I am working on a Chadiana piece right now. I can't really, I can't really show too much. I can maybe, like, how much can I get on the screen without giving too much away? It's coming along. It's coming along. It's a piece. It's a piece. Well, there's a shadow there. She's there. She's in it. But yeah, I got to finish that first. There's a little other freelance thing I want to get done because I promised the guys at Wayward Raven Comics that I would do it, but now at the conventions mostly so I'm jumping all around even in my head. So the this past weekend's convention, Monster Mania, was the last 3-day show I have until April of next year. No, well, it's possible I'll have one in March. We'll see, but as of right now, not until April of next year. And chances are it will be no more than March. And reason the 3-day shows, although I love doing them, are a little bit more of an investment is I lose my Fridays in the studio. And of course, getting ready for Salem and all these other things that I've been talking about ad nauseum. It's just been hectic. And I think I'm finally hitting that point in my year where, that's it. It's slowing down. It's still active, but I can probably get back to Chadiana, which I really miss. I did not expect to take... I expected I was going to have a couple of months off at the beginning of the year. I figured I'd get back to her in like April or May, and it just like snowballed. But now I have so much stuff new on my table. I don't need to try, and it's hard for a bit, at least with the fan art stuff. I still have more fan art to do, but I don't know if I'll be releasing any new pieces of fan art before the end of the year. It's possible. I might post some stuff, but on social media, but I don't know if I'll be releasing any new prints this year. I kind of want to concentrate on some new things. Maybe some special items like canvas prints and stuff. Anyway, Howdy, Raphael. How you doing? I haven't seen you since Rhode Island. By the way, these are the new bookmarks. QR codes or something new I'm going to be using more. I don't know if you're still here. You might have left already, Raphael, or maybe you're there. But if you're still, oh, you are here. No. Yeah, it was nice to see you in Rhode Island, and I was just back on the convention trail again because I was at Monster Mania this past weekend. But yeah, it was cool, and it was cool to meet Frank DeStefano for the first time. I mean, I only knew him from the I hope I'm pronouncing the last name right, otherwise that always looks bad. I just found out I was mispronouncing my one of my distributors' names. Dude, it was great and relaxing. Yeah, I know. You actually got to like walk around instead of just like getting shot through a cannon to do interviews all weekend. It was nice, right? Well, I'm sure it was nice for you. Jason, why can't I get rid of that shadow? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm sure. Maybe if, oh, whoops. That just flipped. That help with the shadow? Yeah, it does. How about that? Good stuff. It's probably right in front of my face on the camera, though. You know what, though? It's all of our lives now. I mean, I'm just going like crazy. It never seems to end for me. Not that I want it to. I mean, as demanding as the convention schedule is, man, am I enjoying myself. I'm playing with this too much. I'm sorry. Oh my God. I keep doing that too. Flipping my camera. That's better, more lit. Thank you. Yeah, it just the shadow was playing against my my little Jason that I'm working on here. I'm doing the 8-bit version. I don't have the T-shirt with me. I only have my friend Jack's keychain, which I showed at the beginning. But actually, I have Ryan Brown's T-shirt design too with the 8-bit Jason, and I was wearing it over the weekend. And my friend Jeanette was going to cosplay as Jason, and I was going to actually take a picture with her and the Jason cosplay and me with the T-shirt, but she decided against it. Probably for the best. It seems like it was a very hot, temperature hot suit to wear, since she does it as a latex piece. Susan, I'm guessing that's your wife, or maybe girlfriend, James, or maybe your daughter. I don't know. Actually, I shouldn't assume. Susan, you just got back from a long weekend in Vermont, a steampunk festival. It was very cool and a lot of fun, or lots of fun. I've only done like one steampunk anything. I wrote a steampunk story for a thing. It's your wife. Okay. Well, sorry, I didn't know the exact quality. Susan could have been your cat. If I said I was going to Vermont with Cirilla, it's not my wife. It's fine. I'm sorry. I just don't like to assume, James, but I'm glad we cleared that up. It's your wife. Good. I'm glad you and your wife had a good time. I'll answer that in a second, Raphael. Just so here's the funny thing, though, Raphael. I didn't draw it. Real quick, I know exactly where it is. This one, right? Steampunk Originals, which you can see Cirilla has chewed on, because all of my books, which are up on my, I keep additional copies of my books, but everything I've been published in that I keep out for looking at, she chews on the corners. Of course, I got a cat that eats books. This book was put out by Arcana, right? And it was arranged by, if some people know him, oh my God, I can't believe I'm blanking on the name right now. Mike Schneider, who did Night of Living Dead Reanimated, was like one of his big ones. But contributors, JM DeSantis, right there. But I wasn't the one that actually drew it. I just wrote a script. Mike Schneider reached out and he specifically wanted me to do a story that was, and it was under crunch time when he reached out. They still needed some people to fill in. And he wanted a story because he knew of Chadiana that was related to India. And I was like, how am I going to do a story of India? It's steampunk. That's usually British Empire. And then it dawned on me, right. The British Empire, there would still be the East India Trading Company. They would still have India or parts of it as possession, so to speak. So, I wrote a 2-page story with and actually Mike Gracia, who's probably not here right now. This is one of the few poems I've had published too. I wrote a poem that was about Diwali, which actually just passed. That was Sunday, right? And put that to a story about a freedom fighter who is trying to sort of run a mission to free up parts of India from British control in the steampunk world. So just a 2-pager, but the guy that drew it was Edward Charles Thomas, who I like his work. As to who he is, I've never met him once in my life. It's one of the few times I did a collaboration where I never even met the collaborator. But it was my first taste of getting something published that I wrote and didn't have to draw, which was nice. I mean, don't get me wrong. I would have liked to draw it. I didn't have the time. I think it was when I was putting some new Chadiana stuff together. I think it was pre-Rosarium, though. Steampunk and British Empire sounds good. Love it. Thank you. So I don't know. I might do more steampunk thing. Actually, I was supposed to do kind of a steampunk thing with Gary Cohn, right? Creator of Blue Devil. And oh God, is that Amethyst? I always forget. I'm terrible, right? And Gary's a friend. But anyway, yeah. He had come up with a concept for a steampunk thing with some supernatural aspects, and he thought I would be great for it, and it just never came to fruition. It was at a time when Gary was really seemed a bit jaded with the comic industry, and he wasn't doing as much work with it, but I met him. Writing is good. You're a man of many talents. I appreciate that. I like to think so, but I don't know that I'm that talented. When an artist can do both, that's a lot of work. I appreciate that, Raphael, as well. I think anybody can do both. I think the real, I think where people run into problems per se is like there's a lot of artists that don't, how do I put it? And I think it happens in comics a lot because there's not as much words on a page, right? When you're doing comics, it's just the dialogue. But it doesn't mean I write like a full script when I write. I mean, it's not quite Alan Moore levels, but it's more akin to that, right, than say the Marvel method. Although I'm not as particular. If an artist wants to change something, they don't have to follow everything that I wrote to a T, as long as it's not something that's important to the story in my script. But anyway, yeah. I think the problem that some artists run into is they think that the writing aspect is easy because all you got to do is write the dialogue, but that's not entirely true. You really have to put time into both. They're both a serious craft. And luckily, I figured that out before I went professional. I think what happened was when I was in high school and I decided I didn't necessarily want to do comics at the time. I wanted to do more novel writing. I realized I had to take my writing more seriously, so I started putting more time into it. But I think it's an afterthought for a lot of comic artists. And then not to disparage or criticize any of them. I think they want to get to the art part, and I don't think really oh my God, what is Cyrilla doing? I don't think they want to put as much time into the other part of it, which is, regardless of what Tom McFarlane says, it's a very important part. Not that he says it's bad. It's just, he says you only have to really concentrate on the art so much. Anyway, what do we got here? Same here. I write a full script with suggestions on what I'm thinking. Sometimes stick figures. Oh, yeah. No, I mean, like, my scripts almost rival my prose in the amount of words on a page. And I'm not talking about dialogue. I get into full descriptions, and it's probably more than I need to do. But at the same time, like, I don't know, some artists have liked it. It really gives them a full picture of what's going on. And I write it in such a way that it's not so like this has to be here, that has to be here. I'm just kind of describing things in a very prosaic way. And that in turn is, I can't do that. If I'm going to do the 8-bit Jason, he's got to be wearing like the jumpsuit, which is more like what Michael Myers wears. Sorry, I went off somewhere for a second. But, yeah, what was I saying about, right. Yeah, I write like a full description and everything. It gets crazy. Yeah, Cyril is the best. She really is. Now, because I didn't forget about it, how was Monster Mania? It was good. It was good. Got to see some nice some friends. Well, I kind of said it in the beginning, but you were in here, Raphael, so I'll just go through it again. Yeah, I got to see some friends. I haven't seen in a while. Some I haven't seen since much earlier this year. And then, yeah, got to go out to dinner with a few people too. You're more of a shorts writer, and I know that you mean short fiction, not, shorts, right? SpongeBob SquarePants over here. That's not showing up right. Shorts. You don't mean those shorts. You write it all out so you can make sure the story comes across. Yeah, I do. Actually, I outline first, and when I do, I used to just like pants it, just go right into it with a comic, because I thought comic writing was easier than prose writing for a while until I started taking that even more seriously. Yeah, you mean some Bermuda shorts. But now actually the comic scripting is more steps than the prose scripting, because now I tend to do some pre-writing and outlining. And then after I do the outlining with a comic script story, what I do is I break it down into pages and roughly what's going to go on each page. So it goes from an outline to almost like a Marvel type script minus any dialogue except for the important stuff. And then I start breaking it down into individual, into individual panels when I'm actually writing the script itself. Trying to get the feel of that 8-bit Jason. Bit of a strange guy. Yeah. No. What is going on here? She's back. she is back. Hi, Cirilla. How are we doing? Even I should face the other way. That looks a little bit more threatening. Well, the machete. All right. There he goes. Jason hunting for the counselors. It wasn't until I was an adult that I was able to beat this game. The NES Jason. I'm going to bring this a little closer. We don't need to be so zoomed out because obviously we're not working on a bigger piece tonight. Again, I usually I'm trying to do these as claims. I only was able to get a claim in what is that? That was Steph Wilson's live stream with my Oogie Boogie that one time. Oh, that's right. You know what else I have done? Can I get to it? I finished The Mermaid from last week. Oh, we dropped it. It's okay. I'm fine. I promise. Just my stool fell. See, Cirilla, you're not the only one that gets up to little antics during these things. Always entertaining when I'm involved. Yeah, I finished that last after the stream last week. That was The Mermaid. Had it at Monster Mania, but nobody was buying originals there, so she didn't go. How many shows, events are left for me? Hey, Rob. 28, 39. Well, 4 are left, but 4 left puts me at 37. If you don't count the extra one that I was kind of half at because I had somebody else running the table for me while I was simultaneously in Rhode Island. That would make it 37 and a half. Unless you want to count it as a full one, then it would be 38. But I physically did. Oh, you're surprised that it didn't go? Yeah, I am too, but nobody was buying originals. I haven't sold an original at a show in a while, and I've had the what are those things? Portfolios out. But yeah, it's mostly been prints and books. I sold a bunch of the Kirkland horror while I was there. And people were really into that Grim Reaper piece that I did earlier this year. Well, earlier, like over the summer, during the live streams that I turned into a print. But yeah, nobody was. I was surprised because I had that toward the front too with the 75 on it, and yeah, it didn't go. But it did spark an idea for a new illustrated book. Cirilla, they can't see Jason. They can't see him if you're there. You're ridiculous. Yeah, Rob, I'm going to finish at 37, though. I have 4 left. Vampires of New Jersey Con, run by Alton Simpson, who does the Vampires of New Jersey comic. That one's going to be in Newark. I hear the Terrifier crew is going to be there from the film. I think the director and a couple other people involved. And then I'm doing Ken Lawrence's Toy Con in Pennsylvania the first weekend in December. So I got a weekend off, which is nice in between for Thanksgiving weekend. And then I'm doing, Punk Rock Flea Market, the Wreck the Halls event. That's in Trenton Punk Rock, because I know there's other punk rock festivals all over in different states. And then, you have dinner guests. Is that it, Steph? Dinner guests. That's fine. I don't need you here anyway. Go do your dinner. No, I'm joking. That's fine. Tell Carrie I said hello. And tell your dinner guests I did too, even though they probably don't know me. But, might as well. Yeah. I hope you know Raphael. Everybody knows Raphael. Everybody knows Steph Wilson. Almost everyone. What's up, lady? You are more in my face. Oh, yeah. Well, I didn't show everybody. I just showed everybody a sneak peek of the top of the Chadiana piece because it's coming together with the colors slowly. Here's an upside down version. She's slowly coming together. It's not nude though, not entirely. Not the top half. Anyway, yeah. You and your nudes. We'll be getting there. Oh my God, Cirilla. Yup. Go right for it. Going after my utility knife. Blades in. She'll be fine. Yeah, it's a kitty butt. Or did you mean Chadiana's butt? Yeah, Chadiana's butt is showing in the final piece that nobody can see yet. December 9th is the Toy Con on Baldwin Road in Parsippany. I'm not going to be at that Toy Con. December 9th is when I'm in Trenton. I'm at a different Toy Con in Pennsylvania on December 2nd. So yeah, I'm not going to be at that one, unfortunately. I'll be in Trenton that weekend. Rob, to answer that question and get it up. So yeah, right, because it's December 9th and 10th, yeah, I'll be in Trenton at the Punk Rock Fest, Wreck the Halls. And then the following weekend, I'm at the New Jersey Horror Con and Film Festival's Holiday Market, which is in Edison. And I'll be doing another one of their events in April in Edison. And that'll be, yeah. I mean, I'm only going to have a couple weeks off. I'm starting the year pretty heavy, I think. Oh, what is it? I can show you guys some of this in real time on my planner, right? That's all we got going over here. Sorry. WildCon, Tom's River, Garden State Winter Edition, Undead of Winter Dark Arts Festival, Nerd Fest, Poochie Con, CT Gamer Con, Vampires in New Jersey Con, New Jersey Horror Con and Film Festival, and that one should be Monster Expo, halfway to Halloween Market. Nothing in May yet. June is Sci-Fi Valley Con and Garden State Comic Fest Morristown and Fan Expo Boston. Contropolis, those dates aren't out yet, but I have it from a good source. Wicked Con, Terrific Con. And I'm going to miss 2 other conventions that weekend because that's there. And I'm very disappointed about it. But Punk Rock again, I haven't confirmed that one, but I want to do that one. Baltimore is the same weekend as Granite State. So I can't do Granite State, which I'm really disappointed about. Scary Stories Book Fest already done. Yeah, I know. Garden State, it'll be happening again. New York Comic Con, if I can get in. We'll see. Rhode Island Comic Con already confirmed and not confirmed, but also the Wreck the Halls Holiday Market I'm doing in a few weeks is on the 14th and 15th next year because Trenton Punk Rock has locked in a lot of their dates. Now, there is, what is it, March? I think it's this weekend. Is Monster Mania Cherry Hill, which I have reached out to them and have yet to get a response, but that could be happening. Also, next to my friend Jeanette, there was I assume it was the owner of this little place called Comics and Killers Collectibles, which is down in the Red Bank area. Obviously not in Red Bank, that's Kevin Smith's territory. But apparently they carry mostly indie books. He was very interested in having me down, so who knows? Spider's Web is closing, which I am very sad about. I feel heartbroken for Tom because he seems very upset that he's got to make the decision to close it. But I might have a South Jersey, store that wants me down there. Plus, I don't know. I should start developing a relationship with the more nearby A&S Comics. Got to stick to my Taylor Ham people instead of those pork roll people down in South Jersey. The guy I used to get Gigantor figures from, I guess, retired. Funko popped out, so I'm not sure how much I'll spend. It's a nice itinerary. That's okay. You don't have to be there for all. And Rob, why would you? And it's next year anyway. I don't have any Funko Pops. Oh, I see. Because you're going to the Toy Con in Parsippany. That makes sense now. Gigantor is an interesting thing, by the way. When I was growing up, my parents owned a single VHS or two VHSs. There were two Gigantor cartoons on it. So I, as a child born in 1982, happened to know Gigantor, and I still know the song, which I will not sing for you, but I do know the song for the Gigantor cartoon. I mean, they just basically say Gigantor a whole bunch of times, at least in the chorus. But it's funny. So one of the cartoons, actually, one of the names of the cartoons is actually, I remember this too. One of the episodes was, Will the Real Gigantor Stand Up? Because it was like a black Gigantor and a light gray Gigantor. Light gray Gigantor is the real Gigantor, if I remember. But anyway, when good old Marshall Mathers, Slim Shady, came out with his album, and the lyrics were, will the real Slim Shady please stand up? I couldn't stop thinking of Gigantor every time he said it, and it was very hard for me to take him seriously in the beginning of his career for that reason. It's like the Gigantor cartoon? I don't get it. Weird things that go through people's heads sometimes. Okay. I think he's pretty well drawn, but I can start inking him. We should get this a little bit, let the comments sit a little lower. Here we go, Jason. Time to get your outline going so that we can get to the coloring. Menon is where you'll see me again. Gigantor. Tetsujin 28 Go in Japan. Wow. I'm probably botching up that name, the Japanese, but haven't really learned it yet. Thrilla's gone, I can tell, because there's no chaos right now. Wow, Menon Arena, all that time. That's a long time, Rob. That's like 8 months from now. It's a long wait to see your pretty face again. I hope it'll be sooner. Only just to see you, But it'll be good to see. It'll make me miss you more, Absence makes the heart grow fonder. Or something like that. But there's always the live streams, as I always say. That's one of the fun things about the live streams is some people that pop on, like James, who I never get to talk to except for by emails, it's nice to get to chat. Actually, James, if you're still here at the moment, do you know what the dates for Copacon are next year? Because if I want to make a trip out down to DC for it, it'd be nice to have it in my calendar so I don't book something this time. I don't know if they plan this far in advance, and if they don't, then That's okay. It'll just run a risk. To be decided. Okay. But I assume it'll be in September again. Hopefully, it doesn't compete with one of the two dates. I'm going to try not to book up September next. Well, actually, I can't promise that, but I'm still going to try not to book it up too much. You'll let me know as soon as you do. I'm sure it'll go on the conlang list too. I'm trying to be better at keeping up with those emails as well. There's just so many of them, including the debate right now over the guy that's talking about leaving the group over the subject matter of the translations, which I didn't chime in on, but I have to agree. It doesn't really matter what the, whatever anybody wants to use as a translation source. I don't really see why it matters. And considering so many conlangers like to use, don't usually make conlangs that have like a necessarily a modern lexicon. More ancient texts just make more sense for creating a conlang, in my opinion. My woefully ignorant opinion, but still my opinion nonetheless. Anyway. I haven't read everybody's response to it though, but yeah. Yeah, now that, well, speaking of conlanging and going back to the original statement about thinking about the conlangs and my schedule and stuff, yeah, now that I'm done with 3-day shows for a few months, I think it'll be a little bit easier to get into a groove. Because I do want to set aside one day of the week that's mostly for production and like really heavy duty stuff. And since I do the live stream and this is like my longest day in the week, I think like a Tuesday would be a great day to work on conlangs. Because I'm not going to do like 12 hours straight of like drawing. I'm going to need some other breaks throughout. You enjoy any period translation channel? It definitely does. Even if you don't have a language that plays into like a modern time period, figuring out like how a word would be rendered is still definitely a worthwhile pursuit because it helps you see how the language would formulate uncommon words or new words, whether it's taking a loan word or it's building a completely new word out of existing roots and conjugations and stuff. And, yeah, so no, I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. I guess all I was saying was that I do understand why people would use ancient text because it does seem to, for a lot of people, and it would for me too, it would just be a little bit closer to home per se, or as it were, I should say, for the origin of the conlang, say that I was creating for the Chadiana world. Agreed. No, 100%. I don't know how many viewers I have right now, but I wonder how many of you did play Friday the 13th on the Nintendo Entertainment System. I did finally beat it as an adult, but getting through it as a kid was next to impossible. Too much. It was too hard to keep those counselors alive long enough to get through to the forest to get to Jason's, what would you call it, his lair, right? Huh. What? If I remember, George was one of the slower counselors. He's like one of the only ones I remember by name. From the game. Good old George, which I think has brown hair. Sadly, you're not much of a gamer and you have little talent. That's okay, James. Not everybody's a gamer. I'm glad that it's become more of an acceptable pastime. So, I'm not considered a man-child for liking video games. I mean, I love to read too, and I love movies, but games have always been an influence on me. And, but I understand that they're not for anyone. On the other hand, it's kind of like a skill like anything else. I think if you have an interest in it, you'll build it, but it's fair not to, Some people like bird watching. It's not my thing, but people like fishing too. Also not my thing, but it's there. Not everyone has to like everything. It's what makes us unique as people. And it's why, whether you're writing a story or you're creating a conlang or whatever, everyone's going to have a unique approach. Well, I think his chest is a little bit low in this picture. Should have been up further. Oh well. All right. Now it's a strange time in the live stream. No Cirilla causing chaos. Questions have gone down. That's okay though. I know some people just like watching these lines come up on the page. Unfortunately, the inking pens do not make as much noise as the scratch of the pencil. But we will get to it at some point, that ASMR stuff. What do we got? James. Interested to know how you approached mistakes in your artwork. Can you correct things? It depends on how egregious the mistake is. So part of the reason I have developed such a sketchy and arguably messy style is because I feel like I make mistakes all the time, and rather than getting anxious about it, I just incorporate it. In fact, I mean, that is a secret, right, about doing artwork or writing, is that a lot of mistakes sort of become a feature in some ways. Some of the things that people struggle with are not, or aren't necessarily their strong suits, sometimes show up as being like defining characteristics of artwork. So the small mistakes, I don't try to correct. Big ones, though, yeah, I do, and I will, in many cases, try to correct them in one of two ways. If I can cover it up, right? Similar to how a tattoo artist would do it. If you were covering a tattoo, you would figure out a way to work something in that it would be less noticeable, right? It'll still be there, but it won't show up as easily to the someone who didn't know what they were looking for, let's say. So yeah, that's number one. That's the first way I correct the mistakes. Like this chest area being too low. I'm just gonna, of course, make some chest lines up here. And I might be able to throw some lines into the center area as like folds and catches that'll just make it look a little bit less like I accidentally put his breasts that low, right? So on the other hand, if it's a really egregious one and I can't tattoo over it, so to speak, what I will do is I will try to do my best with either watercolors and acrylics and whatever to cover it up. And even in the worst case scenario, just paint over it. That one is very hard. If I have a watercolor piece where I messed up something in an area and I got to mark it over with acrylics, it is very hard to get the acrylics to look exactly like the watercolors. But then again, as I said, I'm kind of a messy artist. And in some ways, I don't try to even get a consistent color with my like I don't try to get consistent layers with my watercolors. So if I did go over a spot with a little bit of acrylic, it would be barely noticeable. So in some regards, again, unless you knew what you were looking for. But I think the biggest thing is just not to panic about the mistake. Like I have a couple of paintings that got a little damaged, unfortunately, when I was in Salem because rain somehow got on them and I didn't realize it for like a week. And I have to do some fixes on those, but I'm going to do what I can to actually cover up the problems as much as possible and repair not only the board but also the painting itself. You're welcome, James. I would assume it's similar with a conlang, right? There's mistakes that happen in them, and you usually incorporate those as like features of the language rather than being these glaring mistakes you made. My problem with my conlangs right now is that I don't feel confident enough to do that. If I just worked on them more, I probably would gain the confidence. It's a weird paradox, isn't it? Do I have a favorite character I like to draw? Of course, Raphael. It's Chadiana. I have my own characters, yeah. If it's other people's characters, I don't know. That's a good question. Who would be? Well, that's a very good question. I don't know. Yeah, of course you knew that was what I was going to say. Yeah, but it's true. I've probably drawn more pictures of Chadiana than I have of any other character, even that I've created. And that's accounting for times when I've drawn less of her. She still takes the takes the trophy for most drawn. Although, I do have other characters that I haven't even put out there that I've drawn close to as much, but they just exist in sketchbooks and stuff. You're absolutely right, Rob. I don't know why it took me so long to think of that. Cthulhu. Oh, what? No, it's not even Cthulhu. I'm sorry. It's Count Orlok. Why would I not remember that one? Oh God! Wow, you caught me sleeping. That's what happened there. Yeah, probably Count Orlok from Nosferatu would be the number one of not my characters. As you can see, James, I'm adding some more shadows over here to try to hide the mistake. Just wasn't necessarily going to do all this much inking on this, but now I am. That's a good way to show you kind of like how I do it. See, since my inking style does have some of these like whippy lines and stuff like that, you barely know that I accidentally drew that as his chest muscle, right? In fact, you'd have to know that I did it now to really know that happened. But yeah, Count Orlok would be number one. Cthulhu, yes, Rob would be number two. And yes, incorporating any bugs to make them a feature is an old standby. Yeah, I wish I had that kind of confidence yet. But again, if I was working on them more, I probably would, which is why I should work on them more. It's good you're here, James, because you keep me honest and you keep me thinking about the conlines more than maybe I would in the past. Actually, it's funny because that, for me, I didn't get a lot done creatively during COVID, but the one thing I did do is I was able to finally get an entire plan and vision worked out for how I wanted my constructed languages to work. That's what conlang stands for anybody that's not aware of it. And that was very helpful. What wasn't very helpful was that I didn't continue at the same pace of inspiration as the pandemic led up. Mm-hmm. 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 All right. Yep. So there you go, James. You can kind of see in real time how I fix a mistake. I just make it part of the art. Putting it in shadow, oh my God, that helps so much. That's the easiest way to do it. I was very motivated to do during the pan. You know what it was like? I know this is sometimes the kiss of death for me as a creator. But when I don't have a lot of obligations, I feel so much more relaxed and able to create. But we've always got obligations, right? So that's something I really have to shake. 41 years old and I still haven't been able to do it. But really, when things kind of lock down, it happened during Hurricane Sandy too. I started writing a novel, which has yet to be completed, right? But, it's just when I don't have any obligations and not so many commitments going on, it is just so easy for me to create because I feel like I have all the time in the world. And believe it or not, I'll use it. Right, exactly, Raphael. But I also do believe that, it's not going to get itself done. So I do have to force myself. And there are plenty of creative endeavors I take on easily without that, right? Like this morning, I was thinking about what to draw because of a few conversations this past weekend. 8-Bit Jason came to mind. I was like, well, Halloween's already passed. Who cares? We're doing 8-Bit Jason. Done. Problem solved. But then there's other times, where I will overthink it, which is why I made that one sticker, which I don't think I have a copy of over here. No. My desk is a mess. I have a design that's on a sticker that says "Stop overthinking and just create." I have to get it up on my Redbubble store and another soon to be coming store too. Sign up for my mailing list if you want early access to that. I didn't want to originally do this much black on him. Good thing he's a horror character. Even if this is the new Nintendo version of him. No, I think I'll leave the blade like that. I do have to go get my colored pens. Hang on one moment. I'll bring up Raphael's question or statement so everybody can read it while I go run and do that. Oh, bad news. I think I left it in the car after the last show. I'm really behind. Anyway, Raphael says, hey, we are doing a Christmas challenge where we bring back the spooky Christmas because people forget Christmas has its creepy stories like A Christmas Carol. Someone else was just talking about this. I don't think it was you, Raphael, or was it? Oh, I don't know. Maybe Frank was talking about it. So I guess you would be, is that right? Maybe? That, yeah. There used to be a lot more ghost stories around Christmas time, and he was going to be working on something like that. I did write a Christmas horror story once, but it was a Christmas horror story. It wasn't a ghost story. Could be, LOL. I know we were talking about it in Rhode Island. You and Frank were? Well, then, yeah, I guess Frank mentioned it to me. Yeah. Oh, yeah, but it was like a true horror story, a true horror Christmas story. Actually, my collection, the JMD DeSantis, the first 10 years, it's in that one. It was back when I was really heavily into my Anglophilia, and it was called The Real Saint Nick, or How Henry and Jack Learned the Truth About Santa Claus. It's an interesting one. Would make a really good story in a film trilogy, like one of those anthology films. Isn't that interesting though? Side note. Sometimes reading an anthology, you never know what you're going to get out of it, but there have been some really great film anthologies. There have been some clunkers too, not going to lie, but I always feel more more willing to give a film anthology a chance for whatever reason. even though I love to read. Oh, that's really cool. So it's hard for me because I feel like Krampus is so he's used so much right now. I don't want to say overdone because I just don't quite believe in that. But I just feel like he's so used right now. I don't want to look like I'm jumping on the bandwagon, but I really want to do some more Krampus stuff. In fact, with all the holiday markets coming up, I had wanted to do a Krampus print and maybe some greeting cards or stickers with the Krampus on it, but I just don't know if I'm going to have the time or not. It's a really good question, whether or not that is going to be feasible for me. But I would love. You went from nothing to everything so fast. No, you're, and it was all because of the Krampus film and all of the knockoffs, which I have to say, Krampus was a great. The one with Toni Collette and those other people whose names escape me right now. But yeah, that was. I loved that movie. It became like an instant Christmas classic for me. Up there with Die Hard and Gremlins and such. It's just, yeah, I thought Krampus was great. I remember when I saw the commercials, it was like, evil Santa Claus, this is dumb, but I saw it and I was pleasantly surprised by how good it was, in my opinion. In my opinion. All right, Jason. Let's make it happen. I don't always do this much erasing, but whatevs. What do we got? 45 minutes left. Plenty of time. Plenty of time. Because the watercolor is always the quicker part. What did I do it? Try. It's over here. Now I wonder if I move this over, if it'll be worth it so people can see what I'm doing. Will people want to see that? Anyway. Maybe. Let's make sure it's out of the way of some of the. Oh, God. Yeah. I knew that was going to happen. Whoops. It was funny to you because you knew him for so long and you would talk about him. People were like, stop making things up. Then they were trying to tell me about it. Oh, that's funny. It's weird, right? Because I'm mostly Italian, but I'm part Irish and German as well. And I'm surprised that Krampus was not something I really knew too much about before. But I would say I probably grew up more Italian than anything else. It was probably the truth. Man, this thing is really, it's like it wants to fight me. The one part of it, but not the other. Do we think maybe we can stop giving me trouble? Bam. Okay. Get her done. Okay. Spray bottle always helps. Just to although I had sprayed it before when I was working on the Jadiana piece, it just helps kind of, what do you call it? Add a little bit of water to the pigments. Maybe I should do Dominic the Donkey Love. Dominic the, maybe maybe you should do Dominic the Donkey. I'm guessing period. Love that song. Dominic the Donkey. I don't know if I know it. Gotta be honest, Raphael. I don't know that I know it. Sorry, I should put that up so it doesn't sound like I'm just making things up. Well, this is really close to where I'm working, so it's hard to say. So, I don't usually wet the paper before I work, but I do usually put down a little bit of a light wash or a darker wash if I need it. If it's like a night scene or whatever, I will usually do a darker wash. I should listen to it. It's a great, fun Christmas song. I wonder if I have listened to it. You know, sometimes I'm not always good with song or musician names necessarily. I always tell people, like, if I remember a musician's name, if I remember a song's name, I like the song. If I remember a musician's name, it's probably because I like the musician. I'm one of those weird people that, like, doesn't live by music, which is funny because my dad plays guitar, my brother plays guitar, I have musician friends. I'm just an odd person in the bunch. Yeah, but I'm also like oddly eclectic. I think I've said this on it. No, have I said it on live stream? People ask me sometimes, what do you listen to? Well, my first art was music, so it stays in my blood. No, I totally get that. I actually wasn't bad. I played the saxophone in grammar school, and I guess I could have pursued music. I think I would have liked to learn like piano or violin, maybe the guitar. My dad and my brother play guitar, but I don't know. I figured I already had the writing and the art thing going down. It's like, do I really need to add more to my repertoire? I have plenty to work on as it is. So I just kind of left it at that. I gotta let this dry a little bit for a moment while we're talking. Anyway, but yeah, it looks a little pink, but you know, 8-bit Jason has some weird colors, so I added some red to that almost magenta color. I can go work on this for a little bit while that's drying. So anyway, right. But usually people ask me about favorite bands or musicians or what kind of music I listen to, and this is where, you know, you can kind of see like the odd mix of things I like, because, you know, I'll come out with the first one, which is Ozzy Osbourne, and everybody's like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. And then I'll say something like Linkin Park, and people are like, yeah, okay, that still makes sense. Evanescence still makes sense. And then I throw a slight curveball with Bon Jovi. And people are like, oh, all right. And then I mention Rihanna, and people are like, all right, yeah, that's a weird mix. But yeah, those are like my favorites. Bon Jovi, Linkin Park, Rihanna, Evanescence, Ozzy Osbourne. And like all eras of Ozzy Osbourne. Yeah, I do have an eclectic mix of stuff I listen to. And, you know, like any nerd, so to speak, I also love listening to soundtracks from movies and video games. So, you know, I just I get that stuff thrown in there. But yeah, I guess it is a pretty eclectic mix. But those are my favorites. Those are my favorite musicians. Mm-hmm. But yeah, of course, there's others I like. You know, Adele's pretty cool. So is Green Day. You know, although I know that people that really listen to punk and alternative feel like Green Day is kind of watered down, but I like them. you're a huge Bon Jovi fan. That's cool. I always like meeting other fans. I wish it just brought to mind whenever I think of them, when the Prudential Center opened in Newark, where I'm going to be next week. I'm actually going to be not too far from the Prudential Center. That's where QXT's nightclub is. Right? Was it the Prudential Center? Yeah, I think it was. Bon Jovi was like the opening act for it. And I was like, you know what? I should get tickets. And I didn't. And, I kind of regret that. I feel like I should have just gone and saw them perform. I've only seen Evanescence perform. I haven't gone to a lot of concerts in my life. And, my chances of seeing Ozzy perform are like zilch. That's something I would have had to do when I was in high school, when he was just in better condition to do it. I feel like that's the opinion now about Green Day because it wasn't the thought on them before. Yeah, that's probably true. That's probably, but if it Ozfest there was great. I had friends that used to go to Ozfest when I was in high school, but I wasn't going to concerts yet, Len. So I just didn't have an interest in it for whatever reason until I got older and going to concerts. And yeah, by then Ozzy was, well, as he is. Although I guess I've seen he's tried to help himself get better, at least in better physical shape. I think his brain's fried, unfortunately, from all the drugs and alcohol. You know what, though? I agree. I don't dislike Nickelback. They're not one of my favorites, but they are one that gets a lot of hate. I think they're pretty cool. There are a lot of bands from that like 90s era that were really good, actually. Some of them weren't so much. Like, I was never much of a Smash Mouth person, and although they're a little bit earlier than that, I hate to say it because I've had friends that absolutely love the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I just can't get into them. I don't know what it is. I don't know why people love them so much. It was just a crazy scene at those shows back then. Yeah, no, I know they were. Who knows, Len? You might have seen some of my friends back in those days when they were going to Ozfest. Yes, it was. I'm sure. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why music didn't take me the same way it did my brother, because my brother definitely, followed more in my dad's footsteps and really got into music. But they like different types, I think my dad's a little bit more of a jazz guitarist, and I'm not exactly sure what you would consider my brother. My brother's a big fan of like Joe Satriani and Steve Vai. Although when he introduced me to Yngwie Malmsteen, I really got into that guy. I thought his music was awesome. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't have any issues with them personally. Always liked Flea when he's shown up in a movie or something, but I just I can't get into them. I don't know what it is. What's my jam lately? Lately, I'm not listening to anything. Honestly, I haven't listened to too much. I guess because I'm always like listening to YouTube or catching up on other people's live streams and stuff while I'm drawing. So yeah, Not too much. I don't know what there's another byproduct of the pandemic, right? I used to listen to music or Dark Souls lore videos while I was working. And then during the pandemic, I started watching more true crime and more red letter media. And then that was it. That's like I don't listen to music while I work anymore. I tend to listen to that kind of stuff. Comedy videos or videos about true crime. So whatever soundtrack they're playing in the background, that winds up being my soundtrack. If they play anything. Oh yeah, Cyrilla, I know, but I'm just in the middle of inking here. Come on. This is the dangerous time when the smears can happen. Who knows? Who knows what I'll be listening to? Yeah, I don't know. I guess I just haven't been keeping up with it as much. What's going on the music scene? Even with some of my favorite artists, I haven't kept up as much with them. Not lately. I listen to whatever music I use for my games when I am dungeon mastering. You know what, though? That's a cool thing. I mean, so I can say that, with the exception of sometimes I go through really intense, like, periods where I'm listening to a lot of Rihanna songs, but not quite the same. But you know, there was a period of time pre-pandemic where I think the Dark Souls 3 and Bloodborne soundtracks were just on repeat for me. And stuff was Howard Shore's, like, and Hans Zimmer's music from various films. But yeah, it just, I don't know, it depends. It depends on the mood I'm in. Maybe I should get some music going again. Might just change up the monotony a little bit. Not that things have been monotonous, because I've barely been home. Every time I touch down, I'm back on the road again to another show. It's been a crazy, fun year, and it's not over yet. And then I still got next year, which well, what did I do? I think I mentioned or counted out about like 23 shows or whatever. When I was going over it in my plans for next year, I counted 23, but they might not have all been in that calendar. Final Fantasy music. I like so I'm a big fan of Yasumi Matsuno, who did Vagrant Story and Final Fantasy Tactics. If I'm listening to a Final Fantasy soundtrack, it tends to be those two. Sometimes Final Fantasy VII, because, you know, it was my first one. Oh, and 6. Final Fantasy 6 is really good, too, even though I played it after 7. Wonderful game. Always work with background music. Yeah, it can help with a lot of things, but I can't listen to music while I write, because I feel like then I'm writing to the pace of, I don't know, there's definitely like a melody to dialogue and things that I write, but it's like my own beat, so I don't think I can write it to a soundtrack. I can art with anything going on in the background, and I can edit with stuff going on in the background, but writing, I really need a deep concentration. Final Fantasy Tactics was the best. Yeah, I grew to love 6 better. Sephiroth is still, from Final Fantasy VII, one of my favorite video game villains, but You know, 6, I think, is the superior game. Even though 7 was more popular, there's so much that came out of 6 that was just like repurposed for 7. Obviously not the game sprites, but you know, there's a lot of derivative parts of it. And 6 is darker. I think if it didn't have so many if it didn't have like the cute sprites of the Super Nintendo days, I think it would have been considered a very dark game. Yeah, Kefka was evil, man. I mean, he was a really evil villain. And or you were talking about Sephiroth. Yeah, well, yeah. But yeah, I don't think they need to be remaking Final Fantasy VII right now. I think that Final Fantasy VI needs a remake. That's the one that everyone should really see in its full glory. It's the one we deserve to see completely. All right. 8-bit Jason. Here we go. With these very strange colors he's got. So long for a 6. Yeah, I wonder if they'll do it. So it's a funny thing. I have a lot of fond memories being in high school of Square Enix and Chrono Trigger, right? Speaking of Square Enix games and Final Fantasy, even though it's not a Final Fantasy game, Chrono Trigger is still one of my favorite games of all time, too. And Magus is one of my favorite characters of all time from that. But I have so many fond memories of Square and Square Enix from when I was a teenager, but into my adulthood, I don't know. They like almost can't get their crap together. Headed back to your book. Glad you stopped by. Sorry, I hope the video game talk isn't boring you, Rob, but I'm glad you stopped by too. No, usually you're out at like 9:30. That's cool. I'll talk to you soon. I'll be back next week at the normal time. I'm keeping a regular schedule. So you have a wonderful night, Rob. Yeah. Chrono Trigger was a great game. Hey, Steve. Steve works at the school. He's one of the English teachers. I hope you're doing well too, Steve. I'm doing good. I'm just tired. Can't get off of the road for a minute. Well, no, now I will be. I'm not traveling anymore this year. I'm just staying local for all my shows. But yeah, things are good. I hope you're doing well. Hope things are well. I'll leave that. Oh, you're still rocking Chrono Trigger on the DS. Well, then, no, you weren't bored by the video game talk. That's cool, Rob. I should get back into that version. I know they added content, and I totally missed all of it. You know, I played that game so many times. I would say when you break it down, probably the 3 games I've played the most are Chrono Trigger, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. Yeah. Yeah. I hope things are good, Steve. I guess concerts are probably the next thing coming up on your list of things. I have not, Raphael, actually. It's something I had thought about, but, you know, every time I think about doing a new piece of artwork, and if it doesn't fit into the current genres I'm working in, I feel like I'm going to have to do, like, loads of artworks. But, yeah, I would love... So, Sephiroth, Tifa, and Vincent... Valentine are like my favorite characters from that game, and I probably should do pieces. I just, haven't. Wouldn't be a bad idea, though. I keep thinking I want to do a couple from Final Fantasy Tactics as well. I did some Vagrant story pieces, but I'm afraid to turn them into prints because nobody really remembers Vagrant story all that much. I could do it. A Valentine on Valentine. You know what? I could, actually. Wouldn't be a bad idea. Vincent Valentine on Valentine's Day. Well, it's a thought, Raphael. I do need more idea men because it's not like I don't have enough of them. No, I'm joking. No, that's not a bad idea. I could add it to my list of still pieces to do. It'd be fun to do a Sephiroth. You know what is good, though? Like these live streams, trying to do these one-off pieces that I'm just doing to sell, yet to be claimed. But, eventually I'll get to Steph Wilson's level. But, where I just put a line down and they get claimed right away. Yeah, I could always try them on the live stream just to get my feet wet with some of them. Because, I have so many varieties of prints now, I'm getting nervous to add to the stock. I think I have, just on the 8.5 by 11s alone, I think I have 40 varieties of prints. Everything from Dark Souls and Bloodborne to The Hobbit and the Hyborian Age. Even, I think I have I do. I have a Samus piece, but that was kind of a throwback to an old piece that did sell well. I just reprinted it. I didn't make a new piece, but I don't know. It's hard, I want to try to, I do so much. I feel like if I keep spreading myself out, there's not going to be a focus on the table. And we should all know at this point that focus is my biggest problem. That's why I'm doing 37 shows this year, and they're all over the place, from punk rock shows to horror shows to comic shows. Not bad, though. 8-bit Jason. Boo-loo-doo-doo. Doo-doo-doo-doo. This is on mixed media paper, so it does have a little bit of a... I appreciate that. That's very kind. You are amazing too, Raphael. I just... sometimes I feel like somebody's got to nail me to a wall or something so I can just get things done, outstanding Chadiana comics and things like that. I know, actually, so it wasn't, you know what? I know you just sent me your Jason piece, which I absolutely love. If you guys want to see a really good Jason, go look up Len Danovich's Jason piece. I think that is just amazing the way it's done. I love the way Len paints and his use of colors and stuff. But yeah, as I was saying earlier, a friend of mine, she was going to cosplay as 8-bit Jason, and she didn't do it at the horror show I was at. But I wore my 8-bit Jason t-shirt that Ryan Brown designed. But you haven't posted it yet. Oh, I didn't know. I thought it was an older piece. Sorry, Len. Well, when he does post it, you all don't want to miss it. And if it's available for sale, or if he makes prints into it, none of you should leave that unpurchased, because it deserves to hang on every wall in America and across the sea for anybody that even knows the Friday the 13th franchise. I had no idea that it was new. Well, spoiler alert, Len's got a Jason painting coming. It's not 8-bit, though. Yeah. Yeah, so it was just on my mind already, the 8-bit JSON version, and I don't know. I need to start planning what I'm going to draw in advance of these live streams. So when it popped into my head today, I was like, well, that is what we're drawing. We're drawing JSON today. JSON on the live stream, 8-bit JSON. Challenge accepted. Oh, you're going to do you're going to do an 8-bit JSON painting? I would love to see that too, man. Like, that I think would be awesome. And yeah, I'm glad you like it, Frank. He's available for $75. Oh, no, you don't have to buy it. He'll go in the portfolio. 8-bit JSON, right? Yeah, that's cool. You think your favorite character in all of Final Fantasy is Auron from Final Fantasy X. 10's a weird one for me. I feel like that's when it was the beginning of the end, even though 12 almost got me back. My favorite Final Fantasy character, that's tough to say. I mean, I would say Sephiroth, but if you were choosing a hero character, God, that's hard. Balthier from 12 is really good. I also, you know who I really like, and she's under serviced because she's kind of like a secondary character, is in, I don't know why, I have like a real interest in Melia Dow from Final Fantasy Tactics. The woman that wears the green robes. Yeah, you love the character, not 10 so much. Character designs in 9 were weird, but I did like Vivi and I liked Garnet. But if it was from 10, well, from 9 it would be Vivi and Garnet. From 10, Lulu, honestly. I think, well, I do like Auron as well. But man, did I hate Titus and Yuna. Most of the cast from 12 I like. I don't remember. Oh, 11 was an online game, which I did play. I'm trying to think, though. I like Setzer from 6. Setzer, Edgar, Terra. Obviously, Vinnie Val from 7. Iron looks so badass. Which character is that? Iron? Why is it not ringing a bell? I'm trying to think of the whole cast of 6. There's so many of them. Yeah, but I would say Setzer, Edgar, Cyan, Sabin, Terra. Celeste's pretty cool, too. At 12, it's definitely Balthier, Fran, Ash. Thunder God Sid in Tactics, as well as Melia Dow. But I like, the Tactics also has a really good cast, too. Good bunch. Ooh. Ooh. It's buckling a little bit. Gotta let it dry some more. Oh, I appreciate that. He's not even done yet, which sounds like a flex, but I'm glad you like him because I'm at that part in the art making where I start hating what I'm working on. So you like the 13 behind it? I was just trying to think of something to put back there, and I went with that basic 13. But I'm probably going to make it reddish and the space around it a little bluish. I always add a little bit of like that color in the background. This time I use pink just because it's like an off red color, and the colors on 8-bit JSON are weird. But I always throw a wash in the background because it helps to add a little bit of color to everything above it. And to some degree, I don't know that I'm doing it as much as I used to. I used to work very complementary, so I'd put like a warm color as the main color, usually like a light orange or a yellow, and then I would use like a purple or blue in the shadows. I might not finish him on the stream. What else is new? I'm just looking at this. What is this? Yeah, I'm just going through my notifications for a moment on my phone. Anyway, yeah. 8-bit JSON. Looks like the handle on that thing is red in the video game, actually. Hey, stuff happens and we get creative, so just do what needs to be done. And I have blanked. I don't exactly know what that was in reference to, Raphael. I apologize. But you're right. But whatever it was in relation to, I was just talking to somebody about this. I have a bad case of unintentionally zoning out on people, and then I feel really bad that I lost my place in the conversation. It's a problem. It's a problem I need to do something about. Dry, Jason, dry. Don't want you drowning again. Oh. Too soon? Maybe. I don't know. Mrs. Voorhees would think so. Curious, since we're talking about favorite Final Fantasies and characters and stuff, and since I'm sitting here doing Jason, does anybody know maybe what their favorite Friday the 13th movie is? I'm curious. That's a hard choice for me, although I will say this. Even though it's not considered one of the best ones, I saw it so many times that Jason Takes Manhattan, number 8, holds a real special place in my heart. I used to see it a lot on USA, the Sci-Fi Channel, whichever one was playing them a lot. And, one of the best memed moments in Jason's history is when he kicks that stereo into the air, walking past a bunch of guys hanging out on the street. I just laugh every time I see it. My favorite one is the funny one where lightning brings him back. I forgot what number that is. I think that's 5, if I'm not right. I get a little fuzzy between 5, 6, and 7 for whatever reason. I can't remember if it's what, 6 or 7 that has Corey Feldman in it? Or is that 4? I could even be getting that one mixed up. I don't know why. 1, 2, and 3 are very, very stark in my mind. And then the later ones. I'll see you next time, James. I hope you're able to keep making it back. I'm enjoying Tuesday nights too. It's a chance to hang out with some people that I'm not always seeing on the weekends, you know? It's not always the con people that come to these, which is cool. So yeah, have a good night. And yeah, I'll see you next week, James. You have a good one. Let's see where Jason's at right now in his recovery from drowning in the watercolors. See you, James. All right. Well, I suppose some blues would be best because doing purple on him for the shadows would not work so well. So let's get into it. It's going to look purple because it's transparent to some degree, but it is blue, I promise. I might have some touch-ups to finish on him, but generally he's going to be done during this live stream. One of these days, well, yeah, one of these days I'll finish a whole piece in a live stream. But we're getting closer every time. It's good practice, too. I do like doing faster pieces sometimes. That's why I jumped into doing commissions at shows, and there are some commissions that I've seen that I've done that are embarrassing to me now, but you know, it's good practice just having somebody throw a subject at you and you're just like, yep, can do it, and you got to do it in a certain amount of time so they can leave with it if it's an in-show commission, which I still take. See, told you, it is blue. I forgot to fill in those, whatchamacallits, those holes on his mask. All right, I'll do it in a bit.
Evil Dead 2 is the superior of the Evil Dead franchise. And I say, well, you know, I think that includes Army of Darkness, although I consider Army of Darkness number 2, but I think that, you know, I think Evil Dead 2 is the peak of that. And that's not making any commentary on the series. I never watched the Evil Dead series. Yeah, I just think it's the best one. It's such a good film. And you don't even have to see Evil Dead 1, since it's kind of like, it was really like this first soft reboot thing, because, you know, everybody always, I remember watching something on it about, like, why would he go back to the same cabin? But technically, Evil Dead 2 is kind of like a rehash of Evil Dead 1. Yeah, well, they do. Yeah, exactly. So, skip Evil Dead 1. Well, I think Evil Dead 1 still has value. But, yeah, if you only want to see one of those films to try them out, people, do Evil Dead 2. And if you haven't seen an Evil Dead movie, I don't know what's wrong with you, because, you know, you need to get on that. It's like some of Sam Raimi's finest directing, and that's not saying anything against his more modern films. And, you know, Bruce Campbell's performance as Ash Williams is just one of the greatest characters and acting jobs in cinema history. Yeah, they all are. And, you know, I do. So the second one is the best one, right? But I think that Army of Darkness is the most quotable of all three of them. Because there are times where I will just randomly to myself quote lines from Army of Darkness. You know. Actually, when I was at the horror con, somebody had a shirt that said "Shop Smart," shop S Smart, which is just, I don't know why that one's my favorite line. The Jack and Shit line is one of my favorites too. Those all the time, especially the spell he needs to remember. Yeah, that's another one. I can't even remember the incorrect words well enough to quote that sometimes. I know it's like clock do something. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, it's a great moment. I think that's what makes Ash such a great character is, you know, he's not incapable.
but he is a buffoon at other times. It's just, you know. I think that's one of the great tragedies in Hollywood is that they didn't get to make more films and that Bruce Campbell just didn't become a bigger star in his younger years because I don't know. That man had such good and still does have good screen presence. It's just a shame that he didn't have a more a bigger career in his younger days because, you know, he really should have. Yup and yup. That's true. I'm just glad we still get to see him on screen. Actually, you loved him, you agree that you loved him as Felonious. Oh God, why am I blanking on this one? Felonious. Help me, Google. Can I get there? From Gina. Oh well, that's funny because I didn't watch Xena. I was like one of the few people that wasn't watching Xena or Hercules. Although one of those two has held up better than, well, one of those two actors has held up better than the other one. But yeah, I never really got into them. I don't know. I had this, even though now it's yeah. And I always liked fantasy. There was a period of time where I got really bored to death of Greek and Roman mythology. And yeah, that was around the time that was coming out. So it didn't appeal to me too much, unfortunately. So I never really got to see his performance in it. If you didn't know, this is a nice little bit of trivia I've learned, but Bruce Campbell was supposed to be the lead in Darkman. And I would say we still got a really good, good turn from Liam Neeson, which probably the first time I saw him on screen was in that. But yeah, he totally, it was supposed to be Bruce Campbell, which is why he has a cameo at the end. Same here. That's why I started doing stories from other pantheons. Yeah, it's why when I got to college, I started checking out Celtic and Norse mythology. I felt like there was just so much of it in school, so much Greek and Roman, and I had an art teacher that did a lot of Egyptian stuff. I just got burnt out from it for a long time and later got back into it more. She was great in the Spartacus show. I didn't see Spartacus either. At the time, I didn't have, what was that, Showtime? So, I haven't had network television or anything or cable in a long time because I know you can get HBO and Showtime, their streaming services, but it's been a long time since I had them. That would have been great to see Bruce as yeah, that he was originally supposed to be casting that role. And then, although I don't recall watching the other two movies, but maybe I saw Darkman 2. Arnold Vosloo was the replacement, and he's the one that played the Mummy later on in the Brendan Fraser series. It was Liam Neeson for only the first one, and it was Arnold Vosloo for numbers 2 and 3. Stars, Hunt It Down, Dr. Giggles. Yes, I know, Dr. Giggles was Durant, who was the villain in the first, and he returned in the third one. It was Darkman 3, The Return of Durant. I don't know if I did see that one, though. And I forgot that actor's name now. He passed away some years ago, too. I can't remember. Somebody will know it. Or it'll come to me at some point. Maybe. Probably not. I probably won't remember. No, I should, actually. Wait a minute. I do know that guy's name. It's funny, I can't remember band names, but generally speaking, I do know actors' names pretty well, even though this one is not coming to me. I mean, I pulled Arnold Vosloo out of my ass, so. Oh, God, who played Dr. Giggles in Durant? It's going to kill me. One of you guys might say it, and I'm just going to be like, yep, that was it. Maybe you won't. Maybe you don't know. Can't remember. Can't remember. He played yeah, he did actually, didn't he? Crazy Santa and the Tales, the remake on the Tales from the Crypt story. God. I'm going to have to look it up. This is bad. I know that guy's name, too. All right, I've had it. Here we go. Darkman. Oh, I'm going to hate myself for this. Wow, we really got to go deep. Oh, Larry Drake, right. Larry Drake played Durant. Robert G. Durant. Man, I'll tell you, that light definitely washes this out more on screen than it actually is. Jason Voorhees, nice. Anibal, you are late for the party, man. I'm usually done at 10, but thank you. No, I'm joking. Yeah, I decided to do like the 8-bit colors on them. Larry Drake. Yep. A couple of seconds too late, or you already sent it in and I got it late, Len. But yeah, it's okay. Sometimes I've been going later with these. Today it seems to be the case because I feel like at least I should finish the base colors on this. Not working as fast as I used to. Maybe turning 41 was a bad idea. Not that I had much choice. You like to make an entrance. No, that's fair. Welcome to the live stream. The end of this particular episode, because I will be ending it momentarily. But I'm glad you stopped by. It's half a chance to draw, and really more than half a chance to just hang out with friends and fans while I talk about random thoughts that go through my head and try to answer questions in the most roundabout ways possible. The monster show is good. I had a good time. I feel bad that I'm whatchamacallit, for anybody that's listening to the whole show saying it for the third time. But you know what? Honeyball wasn't here. I'm allowed to answer his question. Yeah, it was really good. I saw some friends that I don't get to see that often. And I really like horror shows. I only said once during a live stream, and it's not anything against the comics crowd. I just I grew up on horror movies. I do a lot of horror work. I tend to get a bigger welcome from the horror crowd. That's not the creators, right? It's not really the fans. It's kind of a mix, I guess. It's different. Those rooms are different. They're just, and there were a lot of people there that I was not expecting to be there, right? I basically knew Jeanette and my friend Mike, who does Void Labs. He does these like sculptures of like man-eating plants, very like, what am I trying to think of? Little Shop of Horrors type. But then Jill Colbert was there of Manfish Studios, who's been, like Steph and Carrie Ann, offering a lot of really good help to me as a creator. Jason Lennox was there. Damon Manx. Jackie Steer. Nelson and Samantha of Geek Emporium were there. Alton Simpson, who is running the Vampires of New Jersey convention next weekend. Who else did I say? Oh, I'm going to leave somebody out, and they're going to be upset. They're like, what about me, JM? I'm sorry. That might have been it. I know that it's not it. There's going to be one that I'm forgetting. And I met some other cool new people there, too. So yeah, it was a fun event. Yeah, well, it comes to New Jersey in March. March is the next Monster Mania in Cherry Hill, and I'm trying to get a table for it. So we'll see. Fingers crossed, right? I don't know that it's going to happen. I hear that one's very competitive to get in. Oh man, that light's like right in front of my face. That's the first time I'm seeing it. At least the colors are a little bit more accurate on a screen that way. Not great to see, but they're not so washed out. Maybe I should keep it over there. And it's not. Yeah, there's no perfect way to set up these lights. I gotta have like Len into my studio so he can really show me how to do it properly. Since apparently he's the light master. Okay, he's not done, but he's coming along. I got to do some highlights and stuff on him. Maybe a little bit more in the shadows. It's not my favorite piece I've done, but there you go. 8-bit Jason. He's coming along good. I got to finish up my female plague doctor. And then, yeah, and the Chadiana pinup I'm doing. And I got to do something for Wayward Raven. And I got to get Chadiana number 3 out or done. I've been talking about those for too long. Thanks, Len. I don't think it's as good as your painting. But then again, it's small. I don't know. I don't love it. Maybe I'll do another one next week. We'll see. I'm probably still tired from all these shows. But they're slowing down a little bit, and I love doing them, so I can't complain. Anyway, everyone, I'm going to be back next week, right, for live with JMD number 19. I'm almost at 20. I've almost done 20 episodes of this live stream drawing thing. And, people are tuning in. That's always good. Sometimes more than others, but I don't care. Intimate settings or bigger settings are great. I'm happy. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I'll be back next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you're in the New Jersey area, well, actually, if you're in Yonkers tomorrow, I'm going to be at the Spider's Web just to say farewell to the store for a second time this year. And on Saturday, I'll be at QXT's in Newark and doing the Vampires of New Jersey Con from 2 to 8 And then I think there's an after party afterwards. So yeah, you can make it to Newark over the weekend. Cool. Otherwise, yeah, see you next week. I'm going to do the little outro image here, but you all have a great, great night and weekend if I don't see you. Take care. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Oh, I'm trying to get that banner up. Here we go. All right. Good night, everyone.